Okay, oops, here we are. Good evening, everybody. Today we'll continue with the Great Bible reading. We are on the book of Esther. So let's get into it. Did I preload all the pages that I need? Sorry about the white screen. I'm going to scroll ahead. I'm going to read up through probably around Job 10. I'll probably read through 9 here. Get past these damaged pages. But we'll start in Esther. Okay. Alrighty, so Esther chapter 1. It fortuned in the days of Ahasuerus, which reigned from India unto Ethiopia, over 127 lands, even in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on his seat royal, which was in Shushan the chief city, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and servants. And the mighty men of Persia and Media, the captains also and rulers of his countries, were before him, and he showed the richess and glory of his kingdom, and the glorious worship of his greatness many days long, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast to all the people that were in Shushan the chief city, both unto great and small, 7 days long, in the court of the garden by the king's palace, where they hanged white and green and yellow cloths, fastened with cords of fine silk, and purple in silver rings upon pillars of marble stone. The benches also were of gold and silver, made upon a pavement of green, white, yellow, and black marble. And they drank in vessels of gold, and changed vessel after vessel, that is, exchanged vessel after vessel. And the king's wine was much according to the power of the king. Much according. Strictly according to the power of the king. And the drink was so appointed that no one should compel any man, for so the king had commanded by the officers of his house, that everyone should do as it liked him. And the queen Vashti made a feast also for the women in the palace of Ahasuerus. And on the 7th day, when the king was merry after the wine, he commanded Mecumen, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagthan, Setar, and Carcas, the chief chamberlains that did service in the presence of King Ahasuerus, to fetch the queen Vashti with the crown regal into the king's presence, that he might show the people and princes her fairness, for she was beautiful. But the queen Vashti would not come at the king's word by his chamberlains. Then was the king very wroth, and his indignation kindled in him. And the king spake to the wise men that had understanding in the ordinances of the land, for the king's matters must be handled before all such as have knowledge of the law and judgment. And the chief and next unto him were Carcena, Setar, Admata, Tarsis, Mares, Marcena, Marcena, and Mamucan, the chief princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and sat above in the kingdom. What law saith the king should be executed upon the queen Vashti, because she did not according to the word of the king Ahasuerus, which he commanded by his chamberlains? And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, The queen Vashti hath not only done evil against the king, but also against all the princes, and against all the people that are in all the lands of King Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands before their eyes, and shall say, The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she would not come. And so shall the princesses in Persia and Media say likewise unto all the king's princes, when they hear of this deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much despitefulness and wrath. If it please the king, therefore, let there go a commandment from him, and let it be written according to the laws of the Persians and Medians, and not to be transgressed, according to the laws, and not to be transgressed, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her kingdom unto another that is better than she. And when this commandment of the king, which shall be made, is published throughout all his empire, which is great, all women shall hold their husbands in honor, both great and small. This pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters forth into all the king's lands, into every land according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should be lord in his own house. And this caused he to be spoken after the language of his people. And this caused he to be spoken after the language of his people. 2. After these acts, when the displeasure of King Ahasuerus was now laid, he thought upon Vashti and what she had done, and what was concluded against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, Let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. And the king appointed certain men in all the lands of his empire, whom he charged that they should bring together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the head city, to the women's building, under the hand of Haggai the king's chamberlain, that kept the women, to give them their apparel and other things necessary to be had, and that the damsel which pleased the king should be queen in Vashti's stead. And this pleased the king, and he did so. In the city of Shushan there was a Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Simei, the son of Kish, a man of Jemini, or Benjamin, which was carried away from Jerusalem when Jeconiah the king of Judah was led away, whom Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon carried thence. And he nourished Hadassah, that is, Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and she was a fair and beautiful damsel, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother was dead, received for his own daughter. So it fortuned that when the king's commandment and commission was published, and many damsels were brought together in the city of Shushan under the hand of Haggai, Esther was brought also unto the king's house under the hand of Haggai the keeper of the women, and the damsel pleased him, and she found favor in his sight. And he caused ornaments to be given her, and such things as belonged to her, and appointed her 7 comely damsels out of the king's house, and favored both her and her gentlewomen singularly in the house of the women. But Esther showed not her people and her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not tell it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house, that he might know how Esther did, and what should become of her. And when the appointed time of every damsel came, that she should go into the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months in the decking of the women, for their decking must have so much time, namely 6 months with balm and myrrh. This is balm. In the King James, I think this is myrrh balm. And 6 months with good spices. So were the women beautified. Then went there one damsel unto the king, and whatsoever she required, so that it what is that? So that it be, no. Whatsoever she required, so that it, what's that? So that it were, okay. So that it were comely. Yeah, W-E-R, okay. Oops. Let's try 88%. That must be given her, to go with her out of the women's building unto the king's palace. In the evening she went, and on the morrow again into the second house of the women, abiding under the hand of Sasgas the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. In the evening she went, and on the morrow again. Okay. And she came into the king no more, except it pleased the king to have her, and that he called her by name. Now when the time came of Esther, the daughter of Abijam, the uncle of Mordecai, which had received her as his own daughter, that she should come into the king, she desired nothing but what Haggai the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, said. And Esther found favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. And Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus, into his house royal, in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she found grace and favor in his sight before all the virgins, so that he set the crown of the kingdom upon her head, and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king made a great feast unto all his princes and servants, which feast was because of Esther, and caused the lands to be in quietness, and gave gifts as became the royalty of a king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, Mordecai sat in the king's gate. And as yet had not Esther showed her kindred and people, according as Mordecai had bidden her. For Esther did after the word of Mordecai, like as she had been yet under his governance. At the same time, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay their hands on the king Ahasuerus, whereof also Mordecai gat knowledge, and told it unto Queen Esther, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made, it was found so, and they were both hanged on tree, and it was written in the chronicles before the king. After these acts did King Ahasuerus promote Haman the son of Ammedatha the Agagite, and set him on high, and set his seat above all the princes that he had with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed their knees, and worshipped Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not the knee, and worshipped him not. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? And when they spake this daily unto him, he followed them not, or, followed not their instruction. And they told Haman that they might see how Mordecai's matters would endure. For he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not the knee unto him, nor worshipped him, he was full of indignation, and thought it too little to lay hands only on Mordecai, for they had showed him the nation of Mordecai, wherefore he sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole empire of Ahasuerus, and that were of the nation of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is a lot. They cast lots before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is here a people scattered abroad and dispersed among all people in all the lands of thine empire, and they have their laws contrary from all people, and do not after the king's laws, neither is it the king's profit to suffer them after this manner. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and so will I weigh down 10,000 talents of silver by the hands of the workmen, to be brought into the king's treasury. To be brought into the king's treasury? I think he's suggesting to pay the workmen. Does this mean bringing the workmen into the treasury to pay them? Let's see. Well, in any case. No, to bring it into the king's treasuries. Oh, Haman is pledging to pay it himself? Okay, that's not how I read it before, but that seems to be... Well, no. Okay. I think Haman is offering it, but then the king says... that he'll pay it. I guess that's the way to interpret it. I'm not sure. I will pay 10,000 talents of silver. So yeah, I think the king was impressed by that Haman offered to pay this silver. I never really read it that way before. So will I weigh down 10,000 talents of silver by the hands of the workmen, to be brought into the king's treasury. And the king took his ring from his hand, and gave it unto Haman the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, Let the silver be given thee, and do with that people as it pleaseth thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, Nisan, and there was written, according as Haman commanded, unto all the king's officers, and to the captains that were in all the lands, and to the rulers of every people in the countries on every side, according to the writing of every nation, and after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the writings were sent by posts into all the king's lands, to root out, to kill, and to destroy all Jews, both young and old, children and women, in one day, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to spoil their goods. In the margin they write the equivalent month name. I didn't notice that. For Tebeth up here they wrote December. The 10th month. Well, that matches with December. I didn't really notice that. I didn't know that. I didn't notice that the Roman months corresponded to the Hebrew calendar months at one point. Is that a coincidence, or is that just, was that just the common reckoning system? That's so interesting. I have to look into that. I'm sure they differed a little bit. Actually, when did... No, maybe. Okay. The 12th month, February. This was the sum of the writing, that there should be a commandment given in all lands, and published unto all people, that they should be ready against the same day, or ahead of the same day. And the posts went in all haste, according to the king's commandment, and in Shushan the chief city was the commandment devised, or written up. And the king and Haman sat and drank, when in the meantime the city of Shushan was disquieted. Yes. Chapter 4. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, he rent his clothes, and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried aloud and lamentably, and came before the king's gate. But he might not enter within the king's gate, because he had sackcloth on. And in all lands, countries, and places, as far as the king's word and commandment extended, there was great lamentation among the Jews, fasting, weeping, and mourning, and many lay in sackcloth and in ashes. So Esther's damsels and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly astonied, and she sent raiment that Mordecai should put on, and lay the sackcloth from him. But Mordecai would not take them. Then called Esther Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, which stood before her, and gave him a commandment unto Mordecai, that he might know what it were, wherefore he She gave him a commandment unto Mordecai, that he might know what it were, wherefore he did so. Okay. That Hatak might know what it were, wherefore Hatak did so. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of silver that Haman had promised to weigh down into the king's treasury because of the Jews, if he would destroy them. And he gave him the copy of the king's commandment that was devised at Shushan to destroy them, that he might show it unto Esther. Look at this. That's not a W, that's an SH. It's a type substitution. That's cool. Because a W closely resembles that. I think the design of the letters is on purpose for this use. That he might show it unto Esther. And so speak to her, and charged her. So spake to her, and charged her that she should go into the king, and make her prayer and supplication unto him for her people. And when Hatach came in, he told Esther the words of Mordecai. And again Esther spake unto Hatach, and commanded him to say unto Mordecai, All the king's servants and the people in the lands of the king know that whosoever cometh within the court unto the king, whether it be man or woman which is not called, the commandment is that the same shall die, except the king hold out the golden scepter unto him, in token of graciousness, for then he shall live. As for me, I have not been called to come now unto the king this 30 days. And they certified Mordecai of Esther's words, and Mordecai bade say again unto Esther, Think not to save thine own life while thou art in the king's house before all Jews. For if thou holdest thy peace at this time, then shall the Jews have help and deliverance out of another place, and thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, being so near to the king's palace. The act might be enacted in the very inner perimeter. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for this cause's sake? Esther bade them give Mordecai this answer, Go thou thy way, and gather all the Jews together that are found at Shushan, and fast ye for me, that ye eat not and drink not in 3 days, neither day nor night, that you eat and drink not. I and my damsels will fast likewise, and so will I go into the king, which thing is yet contrary to the commandment, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way, and did all that Esther had commanded him. 5. And on the 3rd day it fortuned that Esther put on her royal apparel, and stood in the court of the king's palace within, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal seat in the king's palace, over against the gate of the house. And when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, she found grace in his sight, and the king held out the golden scepter that was in his hand toward Esther. So Esther stepped forth, and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what requirest thou? Ask even the half of the empire, and it shall be given thee. And Esther answered, If it please the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. And the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, that it may be given thee? And what requirest thou? If it be even the half of the empire, it shall be done. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and desire is, if I have found grace in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to give me my petition, and fulfill my request, then let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and so will I do tomorrow, as the king hath said. So will I show you what I wish tomorrow. Then went Haman forth the same day, joyful and merry in his mind. And when the same Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up and kneeled before him, he was full of indignation at Mordecai. Nevertheless Haman refrained himself. And when he came home he sent and called for his friends, and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches, and the multitude of his children, and altogether how the king had promoted him so greatly, and how that he had set him above the princes and servants of the king. He told them, what's this multitude about? That's the King James. Told them of the glory of his riches, the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him. Told them. This told can mean enumerate. It's going through all the things that he's blessed by, or blessed with. He's not telling them about, he's enumerating to them all these things. Haman said moreover, Yea, and Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king to the banquet that she had prepared, except me, and tomorrow am I bidden unto her also with the king. But in all this am I not satisfied, as long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, Let them make a gallows of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon, and go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. Merrily, merrily. And Haman was well content withal, and caused the gallows to be made. 6. The same night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the chronicles and stories, which when they were read before the king, they happened on the place where it was written how Mordecai had told that Bigthana and Teresh, the king's 2 chamberlains, which kept the thresholds, sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, What worship and good have we done to Mordecai therefore? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, There is nothing at all done for him. And the king said, Who is in the court? For Haman was gone into the court without before the king's house, that he might speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the tree that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, Behold, Haman standeth without in the court. And the king said, Let him come in. And when Haman came in, the king said unto him, What shall be done unto the man whom the king would fain bring unto worship? Haman thought in his heart, Whom desireth the king to bring unto worship more than me? And Haman answered the king, Let the man whom the king pleaseth to bring unto worship be brought hither, that he may be arrayed with the royal garments which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and that the crown royal may be set upon his head. And let this raiment and horse be delivered under the hand of one of the king's princes, that they may array the man withal, whom the king is disposed to bring to honor, and carry him upon the horse through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, Thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king pleaseth to bring to honor. And the king said, Make haste, and take as thou hast said, the raiment and the horse, and do even so unto Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth before the king's gate, and let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Then took Haman the raiment and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, Even thus shall it be done to the man whom the king is disposed to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman gat him home in all the haste, mourning bareheaded, and told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had happened him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, If it be Mordecai of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and caused Haman to make haste to come unto the banquet that Esther had prepared. 7. And the king and Haman came in to the banquet that Queen Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther on the 2nd day at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? What that it may be given thee, and what requirest thou? Yea, ask even half of the empire, and it shall be done. And Esther the queen answered and said, If I have found grace in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, then grant me my life at my desire, and my people for my petition's sake. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. And would God that we were sold to be bondmen and bondwomen, then would I hold my tongue. For the enemy pondereth not the king's harm. The king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Queen Esther, Who is he, and where is he, that dare presume in his mind to do after that manner? And Esther said, The enemy and adversary is this wicked Haman. Haman was exceedingly afraid before the king and the queen. And the king arose from the banquet and from the wine in his displeasure, and went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up and besought Queen Esther for his life, for he saw that there was a mischief prepared for him of the king already. And when the king came again out of the palace garden into the place where they drank wine, Haman had laid him upon the bed that Esther sat upon. Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? As soon as that word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains that stood before the king, said, Behold, there standeth a gallows in Haman's house, 50 cubits high, which he had made for Mordecai, that spake good for the king. The king said, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had made for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. 8. The same day did King Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews' enemy unto Queen Esther. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther told how that he belonged unto her. And the king put off his finger a ring which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet more before the king, and fell down at his feet weeping, and besought him that he would put away the wickedness of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had imagined against the Jews. And the king, according to the manner, held out the golden scepter toward Esther, whereby was declared a token of graciousness. Then arose Esther, and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found grace in his sight, and if it be acceptable before the king, then let it be written that the letters of the device of Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite may be called again, or recalled, which letters he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's lands. For how can I suffer and see the evil that shall happen unto my people? Or how can I look upon the destruction of my kindred? And the king Ahasuerus said unto Queen Esther, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, whom they have hanged upon a tree, because he laid hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writings that were written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, durst no man disannul. Then were the king's scribes called at the same time, even in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day. The 3rd month, May, it says in the margin, the month of May. And it was written according to all as Mordecai commanded, unto the Jews and to the princes, to the deputies and captains in the lands which are from India unto Ethiopia, namely 127 lands, unto every one according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their speech, and the Jews according to their writing and language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and by posts that rode upon horses and swift young mules sent he the writings wherein the king granted the Jews, in what city soever they were, to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, and for to root out, to slay, and to destroy all the power of the people and land that would trouble them, with children and women, and to spoil their goods upon one day in all the lands of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar. I didn't realize this was 12 or 9 months apart. Is that how it was? Oop, okay. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, well, just didn't realize it was 9 months apart. I thought it was a little more time sensitive. Okay. Okay, so the sum of the writing was how there should be a commandment given in all the lands and published among all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day, and to avenge themselves on their enemies. And so the posts that rode upon the swift horses and mules made haste with all speed to execute the king's word. And the commandment was devised in Shushan the chief city. And Mordecai went out from the palace and from the king in royal apparel of yellow and white, and with a great crown of gold, being arrayed with a garment of silk and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad, and unto the Jews there was come a new light and gladness, joy and worship. In all lands and cities, in what place soever the king's word and commandment reached, there was joy and mirth, prosperity and good days among the Jews, insomuch that many of the people of the land became of the Jews' belief, and the fear of the Jews came upon them. The fear. Yeah, okay. The fear of the Jews fell upon the rest. Some became Jews, and the fear of the Jews came upon the rest. Okay, 9. In the 12th month, that is the month Adar, upon the 13th day of the same, when the king's word and commandment should be done, even upon the same day that the enemies should have destroyed the Jews to have oppressed them, it turned contrariwise, that even that the Jews should subdue their enemies. For they gathered the Jews together in their cities within all the lands of King Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as would do them evil. Well, the King James says the Jews gathered themselves together. You could read this as they gathered the Jews together. This can mean the Jews gathered the Jews together in their cities to lay hand on such as would do them evil, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them was come over all people. And all the rulers in the lands, and princes and deputies and officers of the king, promoted the Jews, for the fear of Mordecai came upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and the report of him was noised in all lands, how he increased and grew. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with a sore slaughter, and slew and destroyed, and did after their will unto such as were their adversaries. And at Shushan the chief city slew the Jews, and destroyed 500 men, and slew Parsandatha, Dalphon, Esphata, Paratha, Adalia, Aridatha, Parmashta, Arisai, Aridai, and Vaisatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews. But on his goods they laid no hands. At the same time was the king certified of the number of those that were slain in the city of Shushan. And the king said unto Queen Esther, The Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in the city of Shushan. And the 10 sons of Haman, what have they done, thinkest thou? And the 10 sons of Haman, what have they done, thinkest thou, in other lands of the king? And what is thy petition, that it may be given thee? Or what requirest thou more to be done? Esther answered, If it please the king, let him suffer the Jews tomorrow also to do according unto this day's commandment, that they may hang Haman's 10 sons upon tree. And the king charged to do so, and the commandment was devised at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. Okay, so when it talks about them hanging them up here, this is a kind of a, how do you call it? It's a kind of a restating, or this is a summary of what happens in this following section. And they slew these 10 sons, and here is how it happened. By the king giving commandment. And they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together upon the 14th day of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan, but on their goods they laid no hands. As for the other Jews that were in the king's lands, they came together and stood for their lives, that they might have rest from their enemies, and slew of their enemies 75,000. Howbeit they laid no hands on their goods. This they did on the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same month rested they, which day they held with feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan came together both on the 13th day and on the 14th. And on the 15th day of the same they rested, and held that day with feasting and gladness. And therefore the Jews that dwelt in the villages and unwalled towns held the 14th day of the month Adar with gladness and feasting, and kept holy day. And every one sent gifts unto another. And Mordecai wrote these acts, and sent the writings unto all the Jews that were in all the lands of King Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, that they should make a law among themselves, and hold the 14th and 15th day of the month Adar, as the days wherein the Jews came to rest from their enemies, and as a month wherein their pain was turned to joy, and their sorrow into an holy day, and that in those days they should make feasts and gladness, and one to send gifts unto another, and to distribute unto the poor. A day to send gifts. And the Jews were content with it that they had begun to do, and that Mordecai wrote unto them, how that Haman the son of Hammedatha, all the Jews' enemy, had devised against the Jews, how he might destroy them, and caused to cast pur, that is, a lot, for to put them in fear, and to bring them to naught, and how Esther went and spake to the king, that through letters his wicked device, which he imagined against the Jews, might be turned upon his own head, and how he and his sons were hanged on a tree, for the which cause they call to this day Purim, because of the name of the lot, and because of all the words of this writing, and what they themselves had seen, and what had happened unto them. And the Jews set it up, and took it upon them and their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, that they would not miss, but observe those 2 days yearly, according as they were written and appointed, how that these days are not to be forgotten, but to be kept of childers' children, their children's children. I'm not really sure how to pronounce this, but the phrase means kept of their, even of their children's children. Childers. Among all kindreds of all lands and cities. They are the days of Purim, which are not to be overslipped among the Jews, and the memorial of them ought not to perish from their seed. And Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm the second writing of Purim, and sent the letters unto all the Jews in the 127 lands of the empire of Ahasuerus, with friendly and faithful words, to confirm these days of Purim in their time appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had appointed them. And they bound their soul and their seed to fasting and prayer. They bound their soul and their seed to fasting and prayer. Let me understand who they is. And they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fastings and their cry. Wow, okay. and they bound their soul and their seed to fasting and prayer. And Esther established the words of these letters, as it is written in the book. And the king Ahasuerus, oh wow, chapter 9 is really long. In the King James, this is chapter 10. And I guess in all other later versions, this small part is chapter 10. But this chapter 9 is really long. It was already a very, very long chapter. And the king Ahasuerus laid tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all that he did by his power and authority, and the great worship of Mordecai, which the king gave him, be they not written in the chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was the second next unto King Ahasuerus, great among the Jews, and accepted among the multitude of his brethren, as one that seeketh the wealth of his people, and speaketh the best for all his seed. The end of Esther. And now the book of Job. The book of Job, chapter 1. In the land of Uz there was a man whose name was Job, and the same was a perfect and just man, such one as feared God and eschewed evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that he was one of the most principal men among all men of the east country. And his sons went and made banquets, one day in one house, and another day in another, and sent for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it fortuned that when they had passed over the time of their banqueting round about, Job sent for them and sanctified them, and gat up early, and offered for every one a burnt offering. For Job said, Lest peradventure my sons have done some offense, and have been unthankful to God in their hearts. Thus did Job every day, and upon a day, when the children of God came and stood before the Lord. Upon a day. That's almost like once upon a time. Yeah, upon a time, upon a day. It fortuned that Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Satan answered the Lord and said, I have gone about the land and walked through it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou not considered my servant Job, how that there is none like him in the land, a perfect and a just man, such a one as feareth God and escheweth evil? Satan answered and said unto the Lord, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not preserved him and his house, and all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his possession is increased in the land. But lay thy hand now upon him a little, and touch all that he hath, and he shall curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Lo, all that he hath be in thy power, only upon himself see that thou lay not thy hand. And Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And upon a certain day it fortuned that his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, While the oxen were a-plowing, and the asses going in the pasture beside them, the Sabeans came violently and took them away. Yea, they have slain thy servants with the edge of the sword, and I only ran my way to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came another, and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burnt up all thy sheep and servants, and consumed them, and I only ran away to tell thee. And while he was yet speaking, there came another, and said, The Chaldeans made 3 armies, and fell in upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain thy servants with the sword, and I only am gotten away to tell thee. And while he was yet speaking, there came another, and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a mighty great wind out of the south, and smote the 4 corners of the house, which fell upon thy children. And they are dead, and I am gotten away alone to tell thee. And Job stood up and rent his clothes, and shaved his head, fell down upon the ground, worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither again. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away, even as it hath pleased the Lord, so it is come to pass. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all these things did Job not offend, nor murmured foolishly against God. 2. And the children of God came and stood before the Lord, and Satan came also among them, and stood before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Satan answered the Lord, and said, I have gone about the land, and walked through it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou not considered my servant Job? For there is none like him in the land. For he is a perfect and just man, such a one as feareth God, and escheweth evil, and continueth still in his godliness. And thou movest me against him, that I should punish him for naught. And Satan answered the Lord, and said, Skin for skin, yea, a man will give all that ever he hath for his life. But lay thine hand now upon him, and touch once his bone and flesh, and he shall curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Lo, there hast thou him in thy power, but spare his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with marvelous sore boils, from the sole of his foot unto his crown, so that he sat upon the ground in the ashes, and scraped the filth of his sores with a potsherd. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou continue yet in thy perfectness? Curse God and die. But Job said unto her, Thou speakest like a foolish woman. Shall we receive prosperity at the hand of God, and not receive adversity? In all these things did not Job sin with his lips. Now when Job's friends heard of all the trouble that happened unto him, there came 3 of them, every one from his own place, namely Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophad the Naamathite. And they were agreed together to come to show their compassion upon him, and to comfort him. So when they lift up their eyes afar off, they knew him not. They recognized him not. For then they cried and wept, and every one of them rent his clothes, and sprinkled dust upon their heads in the air. They sat them down by him also upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights. Neither was there any of them that spake one word unto him, for they saw that his pain was very great. 3. After this opened Job his mouth, and cursed his day. And Job answered and said, Lost be that day wherein I was born, and the night in the which it was said, There is a man-child conceived. The same day be turned to darkness, and not regarded of God from above, neither let him shine upon it with light. But let it be stained with darkness and the shadow of death. Let the dim cloud fall upon it, and let it be lapped in, enclosed in, enveloped in with sorrow on the daytime. Let the dark storm overcome that night, and let it not be joined unto the days of the year, nor counted in the months. Desolate be that night, and without gladness. Let them that curse the day, and that be ready to raise up mourning, give it also their curse. Hey, where have you been? Give it also their curse. Let the stars of that night be dim through darkness of it. Let it look for light, but let it see none, neither the rising up of the fair morning, because it shut not up the womb that bare me. For then should the sorrows have been hid from mine eyes. Alas, why died I not in the birth? Why did not I perish as soon as I came out of my mother's womb? Why set they me upon their knees? Why gave they me suck with their breasts? Why should I now have then should I now have lien still, I should have slept and been at rest, like as the kings and lords of the earth, which have builded themselves special places, or as the princes that have had great substance of gold, and their houses full of silver. Or why was I not hid as a thing born out of time, either as young children which never saw the light? There must the wicked cease from their tyranny, and there such as be overlaboured be at rest. There are those let out free which have been in prison. There are those let out free in death. There in death are those let out free which have been in prison, so that they hear no more the voice of the oppressor. There are small and great. No. There are the small and great, and the servant is free from his master. there be the small and great. There be those let out free. Wherefore is the light given to him that is in misery, and life unto them that have heavy hearts, which long for death, and though it come not, would dig it out of hid places, which also would be exceeding glad and rejoice if they could find their grave anywhere. That should be joy to that man whose joy is hid, and God keepeth it back from him. For my sighs come before I eat, and my roarings fall out like the water. For the thing that I feared is come upon me, and the thing that I was afraid of is happened unto me. Was I not happy? Had I not quietness? Was I not in rest? And now cometh such misery upon me. Okay. 4. And Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we begin to commune with thee, wilt thou be discontent? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast been a chastener of many, and hast comforted the weary hands. Thy words have set up those that were fallen. Thou hast refreshed the weak knees. But now that the plague is come upon thee, thou art grieved. Now that it hath touched thyself, thou art faint-hearted. Is not this thy fear, thy steadfastness, thy patience, and the perfectness of thy ways? Consider, I pray thee, who ever perished being an innocent? Or when were the godly destroyed? For, as I have proved by experience, they that plough iniquity and sow wretchedness reap the same. With the blast of God they perish, and with the breath of his nostrils are they consumed away. The roaring of the lion and the voice of the lion, and the teeth of the lion's whelps are pulled out. The lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the lion's whelps are scattered abroad. This might be a list of two things, or it might be a cause and effect. The lion perisheth, and the lion's whelps are scattered abroad. And to me came the word secretly, and mine ear hath received a little thereof. In the thoughts and visions in the night, when sleep cometh on men, fear came upon me, and dread, which made all my bones to shake. The wind passed by before my presence, and made the hairs of my flesh to stand up. He stood there, and I knew not his face. An image there was before mine eyes, and in the stillness heard I a voice. Shall man be more just than God? Or shall a man be purer than his Maker? Behold, he found no truth in his servants, and in his angels there was folly. How much more in them that dwell in houses of clay, and whose foundation is but dust, which shall be consumed as it were a moth. They shall be smitten from the morning unto the evening, yea, they shall perish forever, when no man thinketh thereon. Is not their royalty gone away with them? They shall die truly, and not in wisdom. 5. Cry, I pray thee, if haply there be any that will answer thee, and look thou upon any of the holy men. As for the foolish man, displeasure killeth him, and anger slayeth the ignorant. I have seen myself when the foolish was deep-rooted, and suddenly I cursed his habitation. His children were without prosperity, and they were slain in the gate, and there was no man to deliver them. His harvest was eaten up of the hungry, and the weaponed man spoiled it, and the thirsty drank up their labor. It is not the earth that bringeth forth iniquity, neither cometh sorrow out of the ground, but man is born unto labor, like as the sparks fly up out of the hot coals. But I will ask counsel at the Lord, and will talk with God, which doeth things that are unsearchable, and marvels without number. He giveth rain upon the earth, and poureth water upon the streets, to set that be of low degree, or to set up them that be of low degree, and that those which are in heaviness may come to prosperity. He destroyeth the devices of the subtle, so that their hands are not able to perform any steadfast thing. He compasseth the wise in their own craftiness, and overthroweth the counsel of the wicked, insomuch that they run unto darkness. Let's see here. insomuch that they run into darkness by fair day. Wow. They run into darkness by fair day, and grope about them at the noonday, like as in the night. He shall deliver the poor from the sword, and from the threatenings of the ungodly, and from the violence of the mighty. He is the hope of the poor, and the mouth of the wicked shall be stopped. Behold, happy is the man whom God punisheth. Therefore refuse not thou the chastening of the Almighty, for though he make a wound, he giveth a plaster. Though he smite, his hand maketh whole again. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, and in the 7th there shall no evil come to thee. In hunger he shall save thee from death, and when it is war, from the power of the sword he shall save you. Thou shalt be kept from the evil tongue, and when trouble cometh, thou shalt not need to fear. In destruction and dearth thou shalt be merry, and shalt not be afraid of beasts of the earth. For the stones of the land shall be confederate with thee, in league with thee. Or in a convenient placement with thee in the fields. And the beasts of the field shall give thee peace. And thou shalt know that thy dwelling place shall be in rest, and thou shalt go and behold thy habitation, and shalt not sin. Thou shalt see also that thy seed shall increase, and that thy prosperity shall be as the grass upon the earth. Thou shalt come also to thy grave in a fair age, like as when they take up a corn sheaf in due season. Lo, this we ourselves have proved by experience, and even thus it is. Hearken thou to it also, that thou mayest take heed to thyself. 6. Job answered and said, O that the displeasure which I have were truly weighed, and my punishment laid in the balances together, for now is it heavier than the sand of the sea, and this is the cause that my words are so sorrowful. For the arrows of the Almighty are round about me, whose indignation hath drunk up my spirit, and the terrible fears of God are set against me. Doth the wild ass roar? Hey. Doth the wild ass roar when he hath grass? Or crieth the ox when he hath fodder enough? That which is unsavory, shall it be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that sometime I might not away withal are now my meat for very sorrow. So away with, things that I might not away with. So away with means to let go, not to wipe out, but to let go. Not to destroy, but to let free. Not always, I guess. Okay, well, it can have a couple different meanings then. Okay, what's the King James here? things that my soul refused to touch, the things that I might not away with, that I might not away withal. Put the things that I might not put out of my sight. Like there are insufferable things which you can't let out of your sight. You have to deal with them. The things that I would have, you know, dealt with, or kind of what's the word? Deal with, or make it right again. The word's on, or rectify. I don't know. Okay. The things that sometime I might not away withal are now my meat for very sorrow. I have to remember that this is not an equivalent necessarily. This is a there may be a little bit of diversity of meaning. These are a little bit different translations. Oh, that I might have my desire, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for. Oh, that God would begin and smite me, that he would let his hand go and take me clean away. That's the meaning of away with. Wipe it away. So there are things that God, there are abominable things that God cannot away with, meaning he won't just clear it away. He won't, because that would be to kind of forgive and forget. Yeah, because if Job were taken clean away, then, he says, then should I have some comfort. Yea, I would desire him in my pain, that he should not spare. For I will not be against the words of the Holy One. I would not protest. Let's see here. Can I go back here now? For what power have I to endure? And what is mine end, that my soul might be patient? Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh made of brass? Is it not so that there is in me no help, and that my substance is taken from me? He that is in tribulation ought to be comforted of his neighbor, but the fear of the Lord is clean away. Mine own brethren pass over by me as the water brook, and as the river of the water so hastily and as the river of the water do hastily go away. They do hastily go away. But they that fear the hoarfrost, the snow shall fall upon them. When their time cometh, they shall be destroyed and perish. When they be set on fire, they shall be removed out of their place, for the paths that they go in are crooked. He's not talking about his brethren here. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream that passes away, which are blackish. What time they wax warm, they vanish. When it is hot, they are consumed. Oh, this is he is describing his brethren using this metaphor. But okay, when their time cometh, they shall be destroyed and perish. Um, this applies to this horror. This is supposed to apply to this hoarfrost and snow metaphor. It doesn't quite. It's not quite coherent in this version. I think. I think the King James kind of sorts this out better. The King James is actually the metaphor is so perfected that you forget that it's referring to the brethren anymore. When they be set on fire, they shall be removed out of their place, for the paths that they go in are crooked. They haste after vain things, and shall perish. Huh. This is supposed to be the paths of the streams. The paths of their way are turned aside, they go to nothing. Phrasing it like they haste after vain things, that's anthropomorphic. That sounds like it's directly describing these brethren that pass over by him. Well, it's correct. It's just a little bit too direct. They turn them to the paths of Teman and to the ways of Sheba. Or Saba? Yeah, Sheba. Wherein they have put their trust. Confounded are they that put any confidence in them. For when they come to obtain the things that they look for, they are brought to confusion. Even so are ye also come unto me, but now that ye see my misery, ye are afraid. Did I desire you to bring unto me, or to give me any of your substance, to deliver me from the enemy's hand, or to save me from the hand of tyrants? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue, and when I do err, show me wherein. How steadfast. How steadfast are the words of truth, and which of you can rebuke and reprove them? Do ye take deliberation to check men's sayings, and judge a poor word spoken in vain? Ye fall upon the fatherless, and go about to overthrow your own friend. And therefore be content, and look now upon me, and I will not lie before your face. Turn, I pray you, be indifferent judges. Turn again, and ye shall see my unguiltiness, whether there be any unrighteousness in my tongue, or vain words in my mouth. In my tongue. I'm not sure what the comma is for here. Seven. Hath man any certain time upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of an hired servant? For like as a bond servant desireth the shadow, and as an hireling would fain have an end of his work, even so have I labored whole months long, but in vain, and many a careful night. Many a careful night, a night full of care. Have I told or numbered. enumerated. Many, many a night full of cares have I counted. When I lay me down to sleep, I say, "Oh, when shall I rise?" Again I longed sore for the night, and in the meantime am I full of sorrows until the twilight. My flesh is clothed with worms and dust of the earth. My skin is withered and become horrible. My days pass over more speedily than a weaver can weave out his web, and are gone before I come aware. Oh, remember that my life is but a wind, and that mine eye shall no more see pleasures thereof, yea, and that none other men's eye shall see me any more. For if thou fasten thine eye upon me, I come to naught. The cloud is consumed and vanished away. Even so, he that goeth down to the grave shall come no more up, nor turn again unto his house, neither shall his face know him any more. Neither shall his face know him any more. Neither shall his place know him any more, in the King James. Well, and that's how it is in the, so it should be place. Maybe I'll make a note of that. Therefore I will not spare my mouth, but will speak in the trouble of my spirit, and muse in the bitterness of my mind. Am I a sea or a whalefish, that thou keepest me so in prison? And I think this means a sea fish or a whalefish. Unless there is another meaning of sea. Am I a sea or a whale? Okay, well, in the King James it's, am I a sea or a whale? Okay. A sea can be something to set a watch over. Keep us in prison. I feel like this is short for sea fish. Maybe some great sea fish like a serpent. And maybe that's what sea itself, like a tempestuous body of water, can actually represent. It's tempestuous because of serpents in there. And so it's closed off. Maybe. When I say my bed shall comfort me, I shall have some refreshing by talking to myself upon my couch. The, then troublest thou me with dreams. Eh? Oh, when I say I shall have some refreshing, then troublest thou me with dreams, and makest me so afraid through visions that my soul wisheth rather to perish and die than my bones to remain. I can see no remedy, I shall live no more. Oh, spare me then, for my days are but vain. What is man, that thou hast him in such reputation, and settest so much by him? Settest so much value by him. Thou visitest him early and every day. Suddenly dost thou try him. Why goest thou not from me, nor lettest me alone, so long till I may swallow down my spittle. So long till I may, long enough that I may. I have offended, and what shall I do unto thee, O thou preserver of men? Why hast thou made me to stand in the way, and am so heavy a burden unto myself? Why dost thou not forgive me my sin? Wherefore takest thou not away my wickedness? Behold, now must I sleep in the dust, and if thou seekest me tomorrow in the morning, I shall be gone. 8. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite, and said, How long wilt thou talk of such things? How long shall thy mouth speak so proud words? Doth God pervert the thing that is lawful, or doth the Almighty destroy the thing that is right? For seeing that thy sons sinned against him, did not he punish them for their wickedness? If thou wouldest now resort unto God betimes, and make thine humble prayer to the Almighty, if thou wouldst live a pure and a godly life, should he not awake up unto thee immediately, and give thee the beauty of righteousness again, insomuch that whereinsoever thou hadst little afore, thou shouldst now have great abundance. Okay. Insomuch that whereinsoever thou hadst little afore, thou shouldst now have great abundance. Inquire, I pray thee, of them that have been before thee, and search diligently among their fathers, for we are but of yesterday, and consider not that our days upon earth are but a very shadow. Shall not they show thee, and tell thee, yea, and gladly confess the same? May a rush? A rush. May a rush be green without moistness? Or may the grass grow without water? No, but ere ever it be shot forth, and ere ever it be gathered, it withered. Withereth. Yeah, sometimes D and TH are interchangeable. It withereth before any other herb. Even so goeth it with all them that forget God, and even thus also shall the hypocrite's hope come to naught. His confidence shall be destroyed, and his trust shall be a spider's web. He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall hold him fast by it, yet shall it not endure. It is even as a green tree before the sun, and shooteth forth the branches in his garden. It taketh many roots by a well side, insomuch that it is like an house of stones. But if it be taken out of his place, every man denieth it. Every man denieth that tree, saying, I know thee not. Lo, thus it is with him. Thus it is with him that rejoiceth in his own doings, and as for other, they grow out of the earth. As for other, they grow out of the earth. In his place where he was, to take his place. As for other, they grow out of the earth. How would I assume that that's what that meant here? This and could mean like, and after that. Thus it is. And after that others grow out of the earth after him. Behold, God will not cast away a virtuous man, neither will he help the ungodly. Thy mouth shall he fill with laughing, and thy lips with gladness. Oh. They also that hate thee shall be confounded, and the dwelling of the ungodly shall come to naught. 9. Job answered and said, I know it is so of a truth. For how may a man, compared unto God, be justified? If he will argue with him, there is not one among 1,000 that can answer him. Concerning such as be wise of heart, or mighty in strength, whoever prospered that took part against him? He translateth the mountains ere ever they be aware. It is he that overthroweth them in his wrath. He removeth the earth out of her place, that the pillars thereof shake withal. He commandeth the sun, and it riseth not. He closeth up the stars, as it were under a signet. Closeth up the stars. In the King James, sealeth up the stars. The King James doesn't mention the signet ring, which is for sealing. Closeth up as it were under a signet, or with a signet. He himself, so that's what seal means. He himself alone spreadeth out the heavens, and goeth upon the waves in the sea. He maketh the waves of heaven, the Orion, the 7 stars, and the secret places of the south. He doeth great things, such as are unsearchable, yea, and wonders without number. Lo, when he goeth over by me, I shall not see him, and when he departeth by me. Along by. I shall not look upon him. I shall not see him. Actually, in the King James, I will not perceive him. No, that's the next line. He goeth over by me. No. And when he departeth by me, I shall not look upon him. Okay, there's an extra little phrase here in the Great Bible. When he goeth over by me, when he departeth by me. Oh, no. I shall not look upon him, I shall not perceive him. There it is. I shall not look upon him, I shall not perceive him. Wow. Why don't I just keep reading instead of being so quick to look it up? If he be hasty to take anything away, who will make him restore it again? Or who will say unto him, What doest thou? He is God, whose wrath no man may understand, but the proudest of all must stoop under him. How should I then answer him? Or what words should I find out against him? Yea, though I were righteous, yet might I not give him one word again, but meekly submit myself to him as my judge. If I had called upon him, and he had answered me, yet would I not believe that he heard my voice. He troubleth me so with the tempest, and woundeth me out of measure. He woundeth me so. Whoops. Where am I? What? This is 11. I gotta go over here. Ah. Okay. Where is it? He troubleth me so with the tempest, and woundeth me out of measure, without a cause. He will not let my spirit be in rest, but filleth me with bitterness. If men will speak of strength, lo, he is strong. If men will speak of righteousness, who dare be my record? Oh, who dare be my record? My witness? If men will speak of strength, lo, God is strong. If men will speak of righteousness, who dare be my record? Hmm. King James says, who shall set me a time to plead? If men speak of judgment or righteousness, who shall set me a time to plead? What is this word? Maybe this isn't dare. If I will justify myself, my own mouth shall condemn me. If I will put forth myself for a perfect man, he shall prove me a wicked doer. Set myself forward as a perfect man, he shall prove me a wicked doer. For though I be an innocent, and my conscience clear, yet am I weary of my life. One thing it is, and therefore I said, He destroyeth both the righteous and ungodly. And though he slay suddenly with the scourge, yet will he laugh at the punishment of the innocent. Not find joy in it, but not be grieved by it either. Is that to mean like dismiss? Laugh at the trial of the innocent. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense than laughing at the what is it? At the punishment. Okay, no. Punishment here means chastisement in the Great Bible. Chastisement or correction. It's not as heavy of a word. As for the world, it is given over into the hand of the wicked, and he shall cover the faces of the judges thereof. Is it not so? Where is there any? Where is there any but he is such one? What? Is it not so? Where is there any but he is such one? Huh? That's a different phrase. Okay. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Um, oh, that's actually a hard phrase. Hold on a minute. If it is not he, then who is it? Okay, okay. The world is given over into the hand of the wicked, and God shall cover the faces of the judges. Where is it not so that God is the one who covers their faces? Where is there any that could do that very thing? But he is such a one that is able to. If it is not he, then who is it? If it is not he, then who is it? If it is not he. Yeah, sometimes the. Oh, yeah. Some of this is left to the imagination. My days are more swift than a runner. They are gone and have seen no good thing. They are passed away as the ships that be good under sail, and as the eagle that flieth to the prey. When I am purposed to forget my complaining, to leave off from my wrath, and to comfort myself, then I am afraid of all my sorrows, for I know that thou wilt not judge me innocent. If I be then a wicked doer, why labor I in vain? If I wash myself with snow water, and make my hands never so clean at the well, yet shalt thou dip me in the mire, and mine own clothes shall defile me. For he that I must give answer unto, and with whom I go to law, is not a man as I am, neither is there any daysman to lay his hand between us. Let him take his rod away from me, yea, let him make me no more afraid of him. Make me no more afraid of him. And then shall I answer him without any fear, for as long as it is thus, I can make no answer. And so, whenever you say afraid of, it's afraid because of, or afraid due to. Not necessarily afraid of, that exact thing. He's not afraid of his sorrows. He's afraid because of all his sorrows. Made fearful. Put in fear of. Almost. 10. It grieveth my soul to live. I will make my complaint, and will speak out of the very heaviness of my soul. I will say unto God, do not condemn me, but show me the cause wherefore thou contendest so with me. Thinkest thou it well done to oppress me, to cast me off, being the works of thy hands, and to maintain the counsel of the ungodly? Hast thou fleshy eyes, or dost thou look as a man looketh? Or are thy days as the days of man, and thy years as man's years, that thou makest such inquisition for my wickedness, and searchest out my sin? Whereas, notwithstanding, thou knowest that I am no wicked person, and that there is no man able to deliver me out of thy hand. Thine hands hath made me, and fashioned me altogether round about, Wilt thou then destroy me suddenly? O remember, I beseech thee, how that thou madest me of the mold of the earth, and shalt bring me into the dust again. Bring me into dust again. Hast thou not turned me, as it were, milk, and turned me to curds like cheese? Cruds, or cruddled was the word. Curdled. Thou hast so covered me with skin and flesh, and joined me together with bones and sinews. Thou hast granted me life, and done me good, and the diligent heed that thou lookest upon me hath preserved my spirit. The diligent heed hath preserved my spirit. Thou hast hid these things in thine heart. I am sure that thou rememberest this thing. If I did sin, thou hadst an eye unto me, and shalt not declare me innocent because of mine offense. Had an eye unto. Have an eye unto. If I did sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me from mine iniquity. Had an eye unto me, mark me, and shalt not declare me innocent because of mine offense. Have an eye unto. Mark. To mark. And yeah, that there are two different definitions of mark, or to mark. It's either to put a print on, or to, you know, take note of. To mark someone. To take special note of someone. Yeah, that's one of my 60 homonyms that I identified in the King James. To note or fix in mind. Yeah, Job 22, mark the old way. Okay, let's finish this chapter. If I have done wickedly, woe is me therefore. If I have done righteously, yet dare I not lift up my head. So full am I of confusion, and see mine own misery. So full am I of confusion, and see mine own misery. Or, yet dare I... No, that's not it. I dare not lift up my head, so full am I of confusion, and I see mine own misery. Yeah, I think so. Thou huntest me out, being in heaviness, as it were a lion, and troublest me out of measure. Thou bringest fresh witness against me, and thy wrath increasest thou upon me. Very many are the plagues that I am in. Wherefore hast thou brought me out of my mother's womb? Oh, that I had perished, and that no eye had seen me! If they had carried me out to my grave as soon as I was born, then should I be now as though I had never been. Are not my days few? Let him then leave off from me, and let me alone, that I may ease myself a little afore I go thither, from whence I shall not turn again, even to the land of darkness and shadow of death, yea, into the dark cloudy land and deadly shadow, whereas is no order, but terrible fear, as in the darkness. This whereas meaning in the same place as, in the same place where is. I think there's also thereas, which means the same thing. Thereas is no order, in the same place where there is no order. But terrible fear, as in the darkness. As in the darkness. Huh. I guess that sets up a different kind of construction there, doesn't it? A land of darkness, as darkness itself, without any order, and where the light is as darkness. And where the light is as darkness. Without any order is interesting. There's no order that can be perceived because of the darkness. Oh, okay. So, all right. Well, that's the session. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll continue and read the rest of Job next time. Probably not tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow. But probably Wednesday. So, again, appreciate you for tuning in, even if just a minute here or there. Hey, it's all good. I understand, absolutely. Just reading for whoever wants to listen or stop by. Okay, these will be on YouTube. Thank you, friends, and God bless you. I love you, and good night.